And one thing I would say is that we do actually have about 30 people registered for today. So if everyone can just stay muted, that makes life so much easier with sound. And if you've got a question to ask, by all means, unmute yourself. But we'll kick into this. So welcome to Accountable. So we are, today we are discussing the do's and don'ts of marketing during and after a crisis. We are attains agents, so we are tax agents as well as certified bookkeepers. And we are silver champions, very, very close to gold. So very exciting. Small things keep us happy. This is us. So this is Natalie, my right hand. So we're a small boutique firm. We only work with small businesses, startups. And the reason why we do that is because they actually need, we believe, small business owners need a lot more support to actually learn everything that they need to know. So we do obviously the financial accounting. We also do bookkeeping for a lot of our clients. My background is ex-IRD and company liquidation. So I do a lot of financial recovery work. So where I take clients in financial difficulty and we clean them up, turn them around and train them to be profitable businesses. And the other thing that we do is business consultancy. So we actually help you grow your business. So it's where we have a lot of fun, really. Today, if you don't feel like talking, you will notice down the bottom that there is a chat function where you can actually write messages. If you just want it to come through to me, then that you can do it anonymously, or you can send it out to the entire group. So if you've got a question, by all means, unmute yourself and ask the question. But I think, Catherine, you want to have questions during or at the end of today's session?
Ideally at the end, just because I don't want to run out of time to get through the presentation.
And the one thing that I will be asking you to do today is actually write down all those aha moments that you actually have. So if Catherine says something, or heaven forbid I say something intelligent, actually write that down, because I will be doing a poll at the end of today, end of our session, to actually find out how many aha moments you guys have actually had, so that Catherine and I can actually fine-tune our presentation for when we do this again in 2 weeks' time. So I'm going to kick off, actually, first of all, 100% participation. You need to actually participate to be able to maximise your learning. There is no dumb question whatsoever. I can guarantee that if you're thinking it, everyone else here is thinking it, probably including me. We are big fans of actually dreaming big. Learn information today that you can actually use in the future. So right now it may not seem relevant, but you will actually come across something in the future where this is going to, really, you're going to go, I understand. And have fun. Life is too short. Let's try to enjoy the process. And when you're having fun, your mind is more open. So what we want is lots of laughter and smiles. Hopefully you can deliver on that, Catherine.
Cool.
And so introducing Catherine. Now, Accountable, we are incredibly thankful to Catherine for joining us on this journey. We do run regular education sessions that are recorded to actually empower our small business owners. Anyone that knows us or works with us knows that I am more than prepared to have those hard conversations and actually motivate people. And that's what I love about Catherine, is she actually speaks the truth. She shares my vision of actually empowering small business owners to actually feel confident in their marketing journey and actually do things for themselves, not give them a $10,000 bill. She makes marketing fun and exciting. And I'm sure she'll tell you all about her successes, as well as almost all of her mistakes, because let's face it, we all make mistakes, including me. And she's honest about these. And I think reading her website before, there was one where she's been in a team meeting and her boss actually checked up on her marketing work and phoned the phone number and it went to a set line. So we all make mistakes. This is all about having fun. And so what I'm going to do is hand over to Catherine, and remember to write down your aha moments. There will be a poll. So if you want to share your screen, Catherine, you can
Okay.
go for it.
Will do. And things have changed. Where are we? I feel misrepresented when Hayley says I make marketing fun and exciting, because marketing is not particularly fun and exciting. But right, so can people see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So this is what we're here for, the do's and don'ts of marketing during and after a crisis. I feel now that I've written the presentation that it's slightly misnamed. Really, the marketing fundamentals remain the same whether you are during a crisis or not. There are just a few little changes during a crisis, but the fundamentals remain the same. So I know a lot of you that are in here, but for those of you that don't know me, just a quick intro. I studied marketing way back when innovation was the really big buzzword and everybody just wanted to be innovative. And thinking about that, I don't hear that as much anymore. We hear about agile businesses, but not so much about innovation. So that shows you how long ago that was. And we also thought we were very clever talking about clicks and mortar replacing bricks and mortar, because this was when Amazon was about 2 years old and it threatened to disrupt how business was being done, as it certainly has. But that's just by means of explaining my longevity. So I've had nearly 20 years marketing experience. I started out in telecom in Wellington, then moved to National Bank. I don't think you should read anything into the fact that I've worked at both those places and now they no longer exist as brands. I've worked at Sky in the UK and then returned to Telecom Mobile for something slightly different. I've also worked here in Hawke's Bay for local wineries and small businesses. And the reason that I present it like that is just to show you the breadth that I've worked in really big corporates where I've been one of a team of 75 in the marketing team. And I've also worked for businesses where it's just been me and I've been part-time. So I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on marketing from both angles. I didn't know what Hayley's slide was going to say, so I have put that I've had 20 years of exposure to many marketing stuff-ups, which means there's been a lot of lessons learned along the way. So let's get stuck in. I'm not going to read through this. This was in the email or the website that you signed up on, just about what we're going to cover off today. So can anybody guess what the answer to this question is? You can just put your hand up if you think you're going to guess. The answer is, that should come as no surprise to anybody. Yes, you should be marketing your business right now. Without continuing to market, you're out of sight, which means you're out of mind. So a really good place to start with anything is data, and it's something that a lot of people in marketing forget, that information is power. So there's a company called Edelman who every year put out a brand trust report, and probably a month ago now, they interviewed 12,000 people in the midst of coronavirus. Now, there was nobody in New Zealand or Australia, so these results are Northern Hemisphere centric and also China and India. But I just thought it would be interesting to share with you some findings about how consumers are perceiving businesses during coronavirus. So this one is showing that 4 out of 5 people are saying businesses need to do the right thing, and it's a deal breaker when they're deciding where to put their money. Pretty much every other slide about this research is going to hark back to it's about doing the right thing and being seen to be doing the right thing. So 78% want businesses to ensure that employees are safe and that things are not being spread around the community. So if you have a business that you're able to transact and you're selling products at the moment, just bear that in mind, that people want to know that both your employees and them buying are going to be safe and you've put measures in place. I like this one. Not only are people responding to companies that are doing well, but they're punishing companies that are not doing well. So 1 in 3 people they must be very powerful influencers, but they have convinced people to stop using brands that they don't feel are acting appropriately. So not only do you have to worry about keeping people happy, you have to worry about if you're not being seen to do the right thing, that other people may try and exercise their muscle to get people to stop using you. There was a slide that I've actually deleted because I didn't think it was worthwhile, but there was a story. Adidas in the US kept their stores open as lockdown was happening because there was a snippet from the CEO's email to the staff saying it was important that we kept stores open because people need exercise gears. That email was leaked, and within 24 hours they'd shut down all their stores because the feedback and backlash was so massive. It was very clear Adidas was not trying to make sure people could keep buying sneakers. Adidas was trying to make sure that they kept making money, and that's certainly how it was perceived. And they felt the backlash quite significantly. Again, people want brands to protect their employees. And I found this bit, I don't know if you can see my mouse hovering, but this bit where it says brands must do everything they can, even if it means suffering big financial losses. So again, people are wanting companies to do the right thing. Messages from brands at the moment need to be focused on solution. So if you're doing any advertising, the research is showing people want to see advertising that can help, show how you can help people cope with pandemic related life challenges. And 77% only want you to talk about products in a way that show they are aware of the crisis. I feel like for us in New Zealand, like I started writing this presentation on Thursday, and I think already we've probably moved a little bit past that with no cases yesterday and the sight of level 2 on the horizon. This feels to me like data from right in the midst of the crisis, but it's still worth remembering that this stuff is important. 60% of people are turning to brands they trust. And this one I found really interesting. It's all about opportunity. So 37% of people have started using a brand that they've not used before because of the way that they've been seen to be behaving during the coronavirus outbreak. So there's opportunity there to get new clients or new customers if you're being compassionate, if you're being empathetic, and if people can see that that's happening. And this is the last one. 65% of people will choose a brand or will buy a brand in the future based on their response to the coronavirus. And 71% of people will lose trust forever if they see companies placing profits before people. So I'm quite sure nobody on here was going to do that anyway, but maybe if you were tempted, just have a think about how that's going to play out in public.
Would you say, Catherine, small business owners, it's critical to actually identify your brand and then market that?
I'm not entirely sure what you mean, but I think a lot of small businesses, whether they realize it or not, have a personal brand.
Yep.
So accountable is not just the accountable brand, but it's actually you, Hayley, because you're the person behind the brand, you're the face of the brand, you're the public spokes. You know, when somebody thinks of accountable, it's you. So I don't know necessarily that you need to identify the brand, as long as you can do it in a way that's going to make a connection with somebody. I'm more likely to make a connection with Hayley than with Accountable. But there are some other businesses, like I guess it just depends on how well that brand is known. If you're really well known, you've got something to build on. If you're a new brand, I think people are relating to face to face to people. So start building awareness of yourself and have the brand hanging off the back of that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I'm just sort of looking at that going, a lot of small business owners probably won't even realise that they've got a brand. Like,
no, and I'll
so
talk about that a little bit later.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay. So marketing your business without missteps. If you've ever been to any of my events or worked with me, you will have heard this every single time I've spoken, but it's not about you, it's about them. So focus on how what you do or you sell solves people's problems or makes them better. Again, I repeat, make it about them, not about you. And as I've put in orange there, do this whether the world is in crisis or not. This should be your, see, I have a lot of number one priorities when it comes to marketing, but this is the first one that we've come across. This is the number one priority. It is never about you. It is about them. I'm going to tell you a little story. Last week, I signed up a client who is getting a book published, and she's asked me to help with marketing when the book is released. I've never done any book marketing, so I was doing some research and thought I'm going to sign up on a couple of publishers' email lists just to see how they do it. So I signed up for quite a big publisher, Simon & Schuster's email list. It was on their book lovers website, so as far as I'm concerned, as a interested party, I'm doing it as a reader, not as somebody who's interested in their business or in marketing books, but as somebody who likes to read. This was what appeared in my inbox the next day. Nice to meet you. Here's more about us. And I immediately thought about there's a lady that we see once a year at birthdays or at Christmas who's a friend of a friend. She's not my friend, but she's a very good friend of another friend of mine. And I've been counting now for 5 years. She has never once on that birthday or that Christmas, she has never ever once said, "How are you, Catherine?" or asked anything about me. Every time, every single time I meet her, it's all blah, blah, blah. I'm this, I'm that, I'm doing that. This feels like the equivalent of that person at a party who's not interested in interacting or hearing back from you. When I opened the email, again, they're saying it's nice to meet you. I don't believe them for a second. And then there's a long list of really, really boring stuff about them. Now, I found this minorly interesting because of the reason that I've signed up for this. But if I was signing up for this because I'm interested in books, this is a big turn off. It's a big yawn. This is them broadcasting to me information about them. And I highlighted this little one at the bottom because I don't even understand what that means. Simon & Schuster offers consumer category specific content verticals. If anybody's got any clue what that means, please feel free to share it with us all. So this is a really good example of somebody getting it. Like, is anybody interested in reading that? Does anybody feel like there was any value in signing up for that email list? There's not, because they're not interested in me at all. So don't be like Simon & Schuster. Make any communications and any marketing, put your client or customer at the heart of it, and remember they've got a problem. Their problem might be that they're bored. Their problem might be that their skin's bad. Their problem might be that their kitchen's too small. I'm sorry. Their problem might be that they're having a baby and they don't know how to do it. I'm looking at the faces that are on my screen, and hopefully that will ring some bells with some of you. But everybody has got a problem to solve, or they want to be better after having interacted with you. And it's your job to find out what that is, what the problem is, and how you can address it, and then talk in that manner. So that's the first step. At the moment, you need to use your emotional intelligence and your expertise. The faces that are on my screen now look very emotionally intelligent to me, but if you think you don't have emotional intelligence, and there are people that don't have a clue, ask somebody smart before you do some marketing. Put something in front of them and say, does this make me sound like an ass, or is this hitting the right tone? Again, things have changed since I wrote that slide 4 days ago with level 2 on the horizon. Things aren't as fraught as they were, but there, probably a lot of you are thinking about going back to work or going to be able to open your businesses again, but still have the social distancing, still have contactless pickups and drop-offs to sort out. So the world that we're operating in has changed, and you just need to be aware of that. And if we think back to that slide about businesses that they trust, so showing your expertise is getting people to trust you. So be generous with your knowledge, with your time, show that you know what you're talking about. Hopefully, many of you might be sitting here thinking, gosh, she seems to know what she's talking about. She might be somebody that I can trust, and therefore somebody that I can get to help me with my marketing in the future. So yeah, make sure that people know that you know what you're talking about. Show empathy and acknowledge the elephant in the room. So try and be on the side of the angels. Don't be the asshole. Don't be the person who's getting it wrong or is seen to be exploiting the situation. Just before lockdown came into place, I was in a pharmacy, and this is when you couldn't buy flour or sanitizer or anything, and there was a little bottle of sanitizer that I bought because we only had another little bottle that was half empty, and it was $18, which did not leave the nicest taste in my mouth. Cauliflower. You couldn't pay me $9 to eat a cauliflower, but I know there are some people who do buy cauliflower, and having $9 cauliflower got a lot of press and a lot of complaints because they seem to be exploiting the situation. So again, be on the side of the angels where you can. Another really important thing, and we've touched on this briefly, is addressing any perceived safety issues really clearly. So people not only want to know that they are safe, but they seem to want to know as well that you're looking after your staff. So if you are able to operate in level 3, where you are coming in contact with people, make sure they know very, very clearly that you have got the situation under control, that you care, that you've thought about it, that you're not expecting them to hand over cash or get close or anything like that. I love this story. I read this on The Guardian a couple of weeks ago. A telemarketer rang a middle-aged, no, actually he looks like he's in his 60s. And bearing in mind that this is in the UK where things are a hell of a lot worse than they are here. But he got a call from a telemarketer asking if he wanted to buy full prepaid funeral plan. And he said to them, are you really in the middle of coronavirus trying to flog me an insurance policy? And this telemarketer doubled down and said there's never been a better time for someone your age, i.e. somebody who's quite likely to die, to get your affairs in order. So I'd suggest that the person that wrote that telemarketing script probably didn't have either any emotional intelligence or anybody looking over their shoulder to say, perhaps, it's actually quite genius. It is a great time to be selling oldies prepaid funeral insurance, but there's probably more sensitive ways than doing it like that. The final note on how you can go about it with this without missteps, there will be missteps if you do get it wrong, and it's not unfathomable to think that will happen. Own it, apologize, make sure that you've got systems in place so that that doesn't happen again, and plow on. People will be forgiving if you jump on it and apologize straight away. And that's the case whether there's a global pandemic or not. If you stuff something up, own up to it, apologize, and move on. You probably can all think of examples where people have dug their toes in, insisting that they've done nothing wrong, and it makes a bigger and bigger fuss. Whereas if you cauterize the wound, it's gone and forgotten half the time. So types of marketing to avoid. I don't know about you guys, but in the first few weeks of lockdown, we were watching lots of movies, and it was actually disturbing seeing crowds of people and people hugging and shaking hands and standing close to each other, because it seemed such a wrong thing to do. I think there's probably still sensitivity in the market about things like that. So if you were doing any advertising or any Facebook posts that feature hugging or things that are finger licking good, maybe hold back on those, because you really do need to look at your marketing through the lens of the new normal. So there are a few types of marketing to avoid. If your nana would find whatever you're doing distasteful, then I would double think. I would think carefully about whether to do it or not. And I did write this full sentence out. I was thinking about brands like Hell Pizza and Tui, thinking, you know, they're all about being edgy. They're all about being a little bit rude. Maybe if you know your audience really well, it's acceptable to push the boundaries. And then I thought, well, actually, I'm not sure that it is, because though I'm not Tui's target market, funnily enough, but I see their advertising all the time. Same with some of the crazy radio stations and fast food outlets. So there are still people seeing your messages, and if you hit the wrong note, even if you're going to be spot on with your target market, it may have ramifications if you get it wrong. If you have a very rad nana, think about whether my nana would find it distasteful. We don't like people who have tickets on themselves or who are up themselves. So I know there are people who are doing well out of coronavirus, and that's awesome. Just don't celebrate it publicly. Don't be up yourself. As I've said there, we don't respond well to bragging at the best of times, and might be the best of time for you, but it's certainly not for everybody else. So if you've got a success story, and I still think it's fine to tell it, but don't make your success the heart of the story. Make, you know, say you're a pizza shop that's gone through 5 weeks of takeaways in one night. Make the story not about how all of a sudden you're making an awful lot of money. The story is about all of a sudden all these people are able to get something that they've been desperately wanting and has solved a problem of mum's cooking or dad's cooking. So you can still tell the story, just don't make yourself the hero.
Marketing's about them, not you.
Oh, you've been listening.
I've got an aha moment. Carry on.
If you need to bring in some quick cash and need some short-term wins, that's fine. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but just think through the implications of what that might be post-lockdown. Like, I've got a client who needed some help last week. They have a food business. They've been able to operate on a very reduced basis, contactless and through delivery, but now they have stock that's going to expire. So they need to get rid of that expired stock. That's fine to have to slash the price on there, because it makes sense. Like, you're going to, from a consumer perspective, you're going to get the bargain because it needs to be sold or it's going to be wasted. If you want to offer a discount or a bonus to get somebody in the door, I think that makes sense as well. People understand that times are hard, that businesses, that new clients might have dried up. That's completely acceptable. But if you look like you're trying to make a quick buck, then you will be judged, and you will be judged when the world goes back to normal and somebody needs what you have to offer. They might question your motives. Goes back again to being on the side of the angels. I did a little bit of research just to see what other people were saying about how to market during coronavirus, and there was one website that was just a treasure trove of bad advice, and this was one of them. Show the human side of your business by letting people know that you're thinking about them during these difficult times. I'm really tired of finding out that people are thinking about me during these difficult times, because they then go back to the Simon & Schuster model. They tell me that they're thinking about me at these difficult times, and then would you like to buy this to get over it? I'm all for showing the human side of your business, and I'm very happy for you to tell people that you're thinking about them in these difficult times, but you don't want to end up on a list like this. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but a lady in America wrote a poem composed of all the first lines of emails that she'd got in the previous week or two while she was in quarantine. And they all pretty much say the same thing, or are on a theme of the same thing, except for on the top right, the third line, chicken, lemon, artichokes. I feel like that's quite a specialized niche that probably not many of us would share. But if you're going to have the same message as every other business, or a very similar message, nobody's going to distinguish you. There was I think it was last weekend or maybe the weekend before, Westpac had a full page ad in the newspaper. I saw it in the Hawke's Bay Today and in the Herald. We're all in this together. Well, if I'd covered the Westpac logo, I would have had no idea that it was Westpac, because you know, we are all in this together and everybody's telling us that we are. So there are ways to communicate without making you sound just like everybody else. So how to market yourself or your business in a way that's responsible, smart, and still gets results. And can't remember what I've put on the slide, but I'm pretty sure that every single point applies whether we're in a world crisis or not. Focus on solutions and problem solving, not selling. So that goes back to what I've been hammering on about. So I don't think I need to keep talking about that. Keep communicating, but be sincere. I think this is one area where small businesses really have an advantage. Pretty much if any of you emailed me as a customer and said a nice message, I'm going to think, actually that's going to ring true. But when I get emails from Vodafone or Telecom or Westpac saying, you know, we really care about you and this is what we're doing, I don't take as much notice, because I know I know from experience that will have been devised either by an agency or an in-house writer. There would have been 7 people to sign that off, and nobody actually really cares. They care about their targets, and the PR division of their bank or their telco are the ones that are the only ones that really care. They don't really care about me, but I know that small businesses actually do. This is a great chance to build relationships and to build trust, which again, I feel goes down to one of the advantages of being a small business owner. You'll have your face out there if you don't get it on your website fast, but you're real. You're a real person, or you're a team of people that people can feel like they know. So if I said Vodafone to you, that's, you know, you may have somebody in your local Vodafone store that you know, but chances are it's a big conglomerate. But if I said George's on Tennyson, probably half of you in here will picture Benny or some of the other guys behind the counter, because they're a real company. Said that before about short-term wins are good, but don't lose sight of the long-term. Something that has got me in trouble in the past in some of my local jobs were a disconnect between my experience and my bosses who were not marketers, who did not understand that marketing is a long game. Quick wins are great and they can get you noticed and they can bring money in the door. But if you're not thinking long term and if you don't have some strategy behind what you're doing, you're marketing irresponsibly, quite frankly. I did have one client many years ago that asked me to write their newsletter. And in the first newsletter, I sold, they were a computer company and they didn't normally sell direct to consumers. And I sent out an email and the technical boss said, I don't know why you've written it like that. We never sell more than 3, and we sold 21. And which was a fantastic result. And the boss was so pleased by that. He wanted to run the same offer the following month. And when I tried to explain that you're just going to lose all credibility, because the whole thing about the offer was this is a really special deal. It's really sharp. We'll never get this pricing again. Take advantage now while you can. You can't run that message 4 weeks later without looking like you were telling lies the first time round, or you're putting your profit before your customers. So make sure that you don't lose sight of the long term. Covered this already, but show empathy and compassion. Show your expertise and be generous with it. Educate your target audience. So in very many respects, what's happening right now is Hayley and myself we're actually marketing ourselves. It doesn't feel like marketing to me. Hayley, I imagine it probably doesn't feel like marketing to you. And we are actually doing this. I know I can speak for you, Hayley, but we are doing this out of the goodness of our heart. But also, you know, this is a chance for me to show my expertise and get in front of you. It's a chance for Hayley to do the same. Might not feel like marketing. I hope it doesn't feel like marketing. I'm not going to sit here and say buy now, but it is marketing. So marketing isn't always just the hard sell. And if you can use it to show your expertise, like Sam, you're on my screen there and you share some great stuff on your Instagram feed that's educating people and that's building confidence and that's sharing your journey. And I don't know how many followers you've got anymore, but I'm imagining that you have really good connections and really good engagement because you're ticking a lot of those. In fact, you tick every bullet point that's up there. I hope you've not taken any notes for this slide because you don't need to, but you know, you've covered all those bases. But don't forget a call to action. Just in case you don't know what a call to action is, that's generally what you'd see on a website in a button or on an ad when it says call 0845 3294 for more information. That's a call to action. Actually, I hope to see everybody write this down, but when I took a slight detour and built websites for a little while, one of the big mistakes that I saw, especially when people build their own websites, is no call to action. So you read through a page and then they don't tell you what to do. People like to be led. So if at the bottom of every web page, certainly not on every social media post, but every now and again, if you can say, give me a call, book a session, buy now, people are more likely to do that than if you haven't put that. If you've just put, you know, say you've written about a new service that you're offering, if you don't say, find out more information on my website or call me and for a free 10-minute discussion to talk about it, people might still do it, but people are more likely to do it if you actually ask them to. So don't forget to ask for the sale. You get bonus points if you can phrase your call to action, but you can guess what I'm going to say in terms of customer need rather than what you want to do. And I'm going to use an example that I've been using for years, and it'll show you how old I am, but I still really like it as an example. So this was one that I read about 15 years ago. If you've got a dating agency, so this is obviously pre-Tinder and smartphones, but if you ran a dating agency, if you had a call to action that said, sign up now, that's not as effective as saying, register today with us to meet that special person you've been waiting for your whole life. Because I'm tapping into their deepest desires. Their deepest desire is not to sign up to a dating agency. Their deepest desire is to find somebody to shag or to meet that special person that they've been waiting for their whole life. So if you've got a website and a newsletter, I hope you don't say sign up for my newsletter, because nobody except your mum wants to sign up for your newsletter. Sign up to get a free training course. You don't even actually have to offer a freebie to go with it, but talk about the benefits. So I can't remember what my newsletter sign up is, but it's something like sign up for marketing tips to help you grow your business, or something along those lines. So when you're putting on your call to actions, calls to action, if you can phrase it in terms of what your client or your customer needs are or their pain points, then you'll be ahead of the game. And marketing is a long-term game, already discussed that. So can I just see a show of hands if you feel uncomfortable marketing yourself or your business? Oh, that's great that there are people whose hands are completely down. That's awesome. So you might want to zone out in this little segment, but this is about how to feel more comfortable marketing your business. So one thing to do if you're doing social media posts or doing anything that you feel is exposing yourself, think about, will my audience get any value from what I am communicating? Now, value is not necessarily that they're going to be informed or they're going to be educated or they're going to be made aware of something. Value can just be in making somebody laugh, making somebody feel better about a bad situation, or even feeling a connection. So my personal bugbear is I really don't care what any of you are having. Well, I care a little bit now, but pre-COVID-19, I don't care what people are eating for dinner. So if you're, well, except for people like Sam, who that's her thing. But if you are wanting to post snippets of your life, try and think about whether there's something that's going to help connect you to your target audience, or whether they're just you showing off your nice cooking or well-dressed children or nice backyard. So just think, is there any value from what I'm communicating right now? Think about some of the marketing that you've seen or heard lately. Have you noticed their marketing? So this was the point I was making just before about this essentially is a little bit of marketing for Hayley and I, but I hope it doesn't feel like it. Is it marketing, or is it people simply helping or educating or problem solving? I have a real issue with putting myself out there, or I had. I'm getting much better at it. For about 4 years, I marketed myself under a business name that had nothing to do with me, but it was a good way of hiding. My website was all about we this and we that, despite the fact that it was me. And one of the things that I've started doing lately is a newsletter. And last weekend, my newsletter, I felt a little bit sick because I put my normal story and value, and right at the end, I put a little request that if people needed help, they could click on this link and buy a little product, buy some of my time, essentially. And my heart was thudding when I pressed the schedule email now, because it felt a little bit sickening to me. It felt a little bit pushy. And I had one sale out of it, and I had people come back to me. I had 4 emails, which is about normal for me, but I had 4 emails saying, oh, I loved your email. Nobody said, liked your email, except for that bit at the bottom where you asked for the sale that was not on. So people will either not even notice that you're selling or will understand the reason why and not necessarily be turned off because of it. So actually, I'm not sure if it's the next point or not. It is. So maybe if you struggle to market yourself, reframe your thinking. So don't think of it in terms of I'm marketing myself. Think about it in terms of I'm helping people be aware of how I can help them. Like if you've got a marketing problem and you don't know that I'm here to help, I'm going to feel really bad actually, because you're going to continue to have this marketing problem, or you're going to get bad advice from websites online. If you don't know that I'm here to make things better, then I've failed a little bit as a marketer, marketing myself. But if you can reframe and not think that you're putting yourself forward or pushing yourself forward, which is such an un-Kiwi thing to do, but if you can think about it as, actually, Hayley, you're a great example with, especially with the stuff that you do to rescue people who have got in dire straits with the IRD. Hayley does some incredible work with people who have stuffed up their taxes and their finances and have to live with the consequences. They could live with the consequences, or they could pay Hayley a very reasonable amount and use her experience and her knowledge and her awareness of how the IRD works to save, like, what was the last person you told me about? Was that a $23,000 savings?
Yeah, one of them was.
So
yeah.
if they had not known about Hayley, then that's going to cost them $23,000 that they pay back to the IRD unnecessarily. So marketing is not just putting yourself forward, it's making sure that the people that you can serve and that you can help know that you are there to do that.
And I think, Catherine, I'm just going to jump in. One of the key things that I say to all my clients is actually, you know, in the eyes of your customer, why do you exist? And that is not to fix your toilet or sell them some fruit or anything like that. That is what you do. But in the eyes of your customer, why do you exist? What do you actually sell for them? To put yourself in their shoes, and actually, once you're actually knowing and feeling how your clients feel, because you have come in and actually solved all those problems for them, then it's really easy for you to be proud of the fact that you are actually making all of this change and helping your clients. So it really is about, why do you exist? Not what you do, why do you exist?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you. 2 slides at once, 2 sentences at once. If you feel uncomfortable showing your face, get over yourself, put on your big girl pants and put your face out there. My face is on the front of my website. I hate the fact that it's on the front of my website, but and I did the same with Hayley. She had a website that didn't show her face, and now she's on the front of her website. And what it does is it builds connections, and there is data to show that faces, whether they're animal or human, but people respond to faces. And I don't know whether you might even be aware in your own behavior. If you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and you see a face, I find it harder to not tap like than I would if it was just a picture of a sunset or a book or something. People like the connection, and I get so many comments about my website, not necessarily my face, but about the fact that I changed how it was written and it sounds very much like me, and people know what to expect when they talk to me. It's kind of like, I used my son as an example this morning. I asked him, so it's like vanilla ice cream. Everybody's happy to eat vanilla ice cream. My son loves apple crumble ice cream from the place down by the eyesight in Napier. Not many people potentially are going to be interested in apple crumble ice cream, but boy, does he love it. And it's actually really nice. So with my website, not everybody, let me take a step back. With your website, if you've stripped most of your personality out of it, you might have a broad, warm enthusiasm, or not even warm enthusiasm. But if you put yourself on there, or you have a really strong brand voice, you're going to repel those people who are not going to like you anyway, and that's absolutely fine. And the people that really respond to you are really going to respond to you. They're going to be like Daniel and his apple crumble ice cream. You know, he wants that every single time it's available, and he loves it more than anything. I'd much rather have people think of me as apple crumble ice cream than Tip Top vanilla is pretty good, but there are probably some generic brands vanilla that's not interesting at all. So don't be reluctant to market yourself and market the real you, or if you've got a brand, make sure there's something for people to grab onto that they actually like, rather than just be very bland and corporate. If you get into the habit of marketing yourself, it becomes easier. I put that twice with an and a the. I thought that was clever at the time. I don't know why now. I'm sorry, but the point remains. If you keep doing it, it gets easier. And my final words, nobody cares. Like when I moved from my I moved my Instagram, it seemed like such a big thing. I moved my Instagram name from my company name to my personal name, and that was the biggest thing that had ever happened in my world, and nobody noticed. There's been a bunch of stuff that I've done that have felt really brave to me, because I don't look like putting myself forward, and nobody ever notices or cares, because they're thinking about them. They're not thinking, God, I wonder how Catherine feels about moving from Savvy to Catherine McGarvey. Like, seriously, nobody will care. So don't I was advising a client at the end of last week who wants to start up an Instagram account for her design business. And she's got 3 followers at the moment. One is me and one is our friend's husband. So there's very, very little risk. And she's terrified of getting something wrong. I said, you know, this is the time when you've got 3 followers. This is the time to experiment and get things wrong, because A, we love you and it doesn't matter, but nobody cares. They're going to scroll down to the next thing if you get it wrong. So if you don't feel comfortable, just do it anyway, because nobody's going to care either way.
And I think that's the key of small businesses. The fear of doing something wrong stops them from actually going forward. And then when you finally get the courage to do it, you're like, oh, I've just wasted 6 months and I could have actually had this result 6 months ago.
Oh, 4 years. You know, I
Well,
make those mistakes and then learn from them. So I'm conscious of time, so I might have to speed up my pace. So how to communicate with your customers to get more sales? Stay visible. So if for you that's being active on social media, then make sure you're staying active on social media. If you've been doing radio advertising or print advertising, or even branded vehicles are great. Make sure you're parking them in a place where you're going to be seen. Contact clients, customers, past clients or customers. I would recommend you contacting them directly. I sent an email out to a lot of my previous clients when this stuff started, just asking if anybody needed help. The message was not, pay me to help you. The message was genuinely, how are you doing? If I can help you at all, just let me know. That was pretty well received. And I think I heard from one person that she may not have even realized she needed help without my prompting. So contact people directly. Email them if they have given their permission for you to email them. And if you can, personalize it. And I don't mean just put, you know, the brackets with first name and swap out a mailing list. I moved into an office a little while ago. So if somebody sent me an email saying, hi, Catherine, how was your office move? Or hi Alison, has Max come back from university for lockdown, and then say your message. Like, if you can make it feel like you actually are genuinely reaching out, you're not just reaching out to market yourself or make a sale, that's to your advantage. I think I've pretty much got a version of this on every slide. It's not about you, it's about them. Ask for the sale. Another useful tip, depending on what your business is, but ask if they know anybody, or if they can recommend you contact anybody who you might be able to help. It's actually a surprisingly effective way to get new business, and especially if you're able to communicate it in a way that has all the empathy and compassion, but it's a chance to get people to feel that they're helping you. If you ask somebody, hey, would you mind doing me a quick favor? There are studies, I make up the statistics because I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's studies that show that something like 76% of people in a study, when asked to do a favor, will do it without thinking, just because they've been asked. So if you've got the ability for somebody to ask somebody, hey, can you help me by making sure more people know what I do or what I sell, you might be surprised at the number of people who are willing to step up and help. Be genuine, be sincere. This is not the time to push sales. I signed up for a mailing list last week, and I've already had 15 emails, and I'm not unsubscribing because I want to see how many more come, but I'm certainly never ever going to buy because I'm not interested in 15 emails over 5 days. How to get the attention of your target market sensitively when you've not been actively marketing. I wish I hadn't put this down as something I was going to talk about, because I got to this slide and thought, oh, this is quite hard. But actually, you would do this the same way that you would start marketing anyway, just with the extra awareness of what people are going through right now. I would highly recommend don't start anything if you haven't got the mental energy or the time to keep it up, because it's a waste of time and potentially money if you can't be consistent. But also, it's not necessarily the best look if you do something once and then don't do it again. It shows a bit of a lack of commitment. If you're going to start posting on social media, think first about what you're trying to achieve with your posts. Are you trying to get someone to visit your website? Are you trying to get someone to donate some money? Are you trying to get someone to buy your product next time they're in the supermarket? So when you're posting, just always be aware of what the ultimate objective is for your social media account. Post consistently, which doesn't mean every day or every second day, but if you can try and be consistent, which is something that I'm quite bad at on occasion. When I get busy, my social media posts drop off. So that's a black mark for me, but if you can be better than me, then please do. Engage with people. So it's not just a broadcast medium for you to go out with your message. Try and talk to people, encourage questions, encourage comments, and don't just let somebody reply to a question of yours and then leave that unresponded to, because that's a really good way of making people feel like their voice doesn't matter. Be of value, be informative, be entertaining. You can self-promote, but don't move into the show-offy, bragging part of self-promotion, and don't be rude. If you can be generous or do helpful stuff within your community, and you can get a message out there that's not, hey, look at us, we've just donated this to the local kindy to help them through. If you can tell the story in a way that's putting you in the background and your good deeds to the fore, then that will get you good attention. If you've got a novel story or approach to a problem or innovation, I'm sure I can count at least 5 or 6 stories about gin distilleries that are moving to make hand sanitizer, or clothing factories that are now making PPE, that kind of thing. So if there is a story there that can get you some good attention, and if you've got any good news stories, they're a little bit hard to think of off the top of my head, but people are very willing and wanting to listen to good news at the moment. Great customer service is important whenever, but if you can focus on customer service right now, you'll be at an advantage. Customer service is a really good way of getting inside your customers' heads, because you find out what their problems are and what they're saying. I'm really conscious of time, but I just did want to tell a quick story about a long time ago when I worked at Telecom in the marketing team, and I ran a program that forced everybody in the marketing team to get in a taxi and go out to the call centre in Lower Hutt and sit with the call centre agents for 2 hours every 3 months. And I got complained about to my manager for setting up this program, because people were too busy to take the time to do that. And pretty much every person, when they came back from the call centre, came to see me to say, thanks for forcing me to do that, because sitting for 2 hours next to a customer service agent, listening to people complain about your product or the processes around your product is so powerful for knowing how to make things better. So if you've got the ability to manage customer service and do a great job, not only do you get all those insights, but you get the other advantages of things like trust, loyal customers. I think there's an advantage being a small business. I never believe my insurance company when they tell me that my call is important to them and I will wait 45 minutes in the queue for them to show me how important it is. But when you're a small business and you're not having to make people wait like that, and they can talk to you directly, that's a great aspect of building great customer service. Great customer service can be a competitive advantage. I'm quite sure I would pay more for my insurance if I could go into town and talk to somebody face to face and get customer service from them. Great customer service will improve your brand perception. Retention, I don't know about you guys, but I'm quite fickle with my suppliers. If I get bad service from Vodafone, I'm switching to Telecom. If I get bad service from one power company, I'm switching to the other. I may well switch back, but bad customer service is a real turn-off for me, and I'm sure it is for many other people who are willing to vote with their wallet. Happy customers will tell other people about your business, but statistically, I think the last statistics I saw is a happy customer will tell an average of 8 people if asked about your business. Unhappy customers will tell 20 people unprompted. So depending on how many people are on here, I could have a really good whinge about my broadband supplier, my TV supplier. People like to tell horror stories. Don't be somebody they tell a horror story about. How to use your website for marketing and customer service. So make sure that your website, if people are going to be looking at your website during the lockdown, that you've put whether you're working or not, and you might need to update it when we move to level 2. If you've got any content that might need refreshing in terms of how you operate in level 2 during lockdown, you'll want to do that as well. Statistics, the graphs show that web usage has gone like this during lockdown, so there are a hell of a lot more people online. Not everybody is able to shop right now, and not every business is able to be bought from, but people are researching. So this is a really good time to make sure that your website is found easily. So try and spend some time focusing on SEO if you think a search engine optimization, if you think that's something that you could be doing better. You might want to think about if you're getting the same kind of questions from your customers or anticipate getting the same similar questions, then put them on your website in a processes page or FAQs. Think about whether having a chat option or a messenger bot on your website might work for you. I've thought about it, and I know that I wouldn't manage it in a timely fashion, so I'd rather have no chatbot on my site than a chatbot that gets back to you 5 hours later. But I know for a lot of people that this is a really, really powerful option and gets conversations going and people buying. So if this is something that works for you and works for your clients, that might be a good way to get more business. I've seen some quite clever stuff with video, just like product usage videos, instruction manuals, videos showing people's products within the context, so in use, or even talking. I've thought about recording a video just of me talking to anybody who comes to my website, like a 30-second clip saying, this is who I am, this is what I do, because especially if you feel like the words on your website might be balanced more towards the dry and bland than the engaging, then a video could potentially be a way to do that. Or even like I sign up for a lot of email lists because I like to study what they do, and I signed up for one last week, and the landing page, so once I'd clicked the submit page, came up with a video, just a quick one, the guy saying, hey, thanks for signing up, this is what to expect. I'm not a great watcher of YouTube or videos, but I know that a lot of people are, so video could be a really good option for your business. Some quick marketing ideas to consider that you may not have considered before. So have you got existing products or services that you could tweak to meet new needs? And I didn't write, but could you tweak how you talk about them to make them be seen in a new light? So it could be the exact same product, but your messaging might change, knowing that we're all stuck at home for the greater part. Can you use different ways of getting your products or services to market, which essentially is probably meaning online? You know, if you're somebody who relies on selling face-to-face, you're probably going to need to move online if you want to keep going. Can you change your fee structure or offer free shipping or give some sort of incentive to tip people over the line so that they're comfortable buying online? If you've got things that are more expensive, you could consider staggering payments or using an after-buy or lay-buy solution to make people more inclined to buy. Can you do a free trial offer or a sample size so that people aren't scared of the commitment if they buy something and they don't like it? Is a money-back guarantee an option? Promotional offers can work really well if they're done well. So the bog off is the buy one, get one free, or friend get friend. So actually my Facebook feed is full of masterclass ads, buy one masterclass and get another one for a friend. And actually I'm contemplating it, which shows you that they can be effective. A limited time offer, and I put genuine in there because, like, back to my story about the computers, if you see an offer, if you put out an offer saying we've only got 10 available for the next 3 days, and then a week later you've got 10 available for the next 3 days, you are undermining your own message. So make sure that they're genuine. Can you bundle some of your products together and have it at a lower price point? So say you've got product A and product B, $5 and $10, but sell them for $12. Obviously you'll get less money per product, but you will increase your order volumes and you'll have more products going out the door, which means more opportunity to impress people, more opportunity to get product reviews or testimonials, and potentially the ability to upsell to existing customers if they are willing to try something new for a lower price. Video, you might want to talk one-to-one, we covered that off. And I've also mentioned before signage and branded clothing. Like, this is very, very old school marketing, but being seen in the supermarket with a branded t-shirt or in the car park with a branded car, especially if it's not just got a logo but has a really good strap line or a really good demonstration of how you help clients, nobody's going to probably come up to you in the supermarket car park and say, hey, I want to buy your product. But you might, if they start to see you round, they might start to think, oh, hey. And when they're ready to buy something in your category, you may come to mind. How to tell whether your marketing is effective or not. Something that I see a lot of is people who do their marketing and don't ever reflect on it or analyze and measure what's wrong. Sometimes it can be really hard to measure, but there are things that you can do. So firstly, make a note of when you're marketing, even if it's just down on paper. If you are posting something about your business on Facebook and you want people to go through to your business, don't just send them to your normal homepage or to a particular product page. Make a page that's just for that campaign, and then you can track how many links have come through so you can see how effective it is. You can also say you might get 100 clicks. How many sales or inquiries are you getting from that? So track your website hits if that's what your call to action is to go to the website. Track any inquiries or sales, and when people are buying from you, ask them how they heard about you. Ask them what made them, like if it's a product that they're buying, ask them what made them decide to buy it then and there. It may be that they were driving home from the supermarket, saw your branded car and thought, oh, I'm going to go home and buy some of that wine online because I saw the winery's branded car. It's not a perfect science, but it is a good idea to try and keep your eye on your marketing activity to get a feel for what's working and what's not. I've never heard of this guy, Rick Militi, but when I find quotes that say what I'd like to say, but even better, I'm very impressed. So I'm going to finish off with this quote from him saying, companies that market effectively, strategically, and compassionately during this period will be the big winners when this nightmare is over. And I really believe that. I'm sorry I talked so long. Hayley, can I hand it back to you? You're muted.
Never said I was intelligent. I think out of that, there's actually a lot of information there, but the key message, and correct me if I've got this completely wrong, Catherine, is about marketing is about them, not you. If you actually focus on your clients, you actually give them what they need and treat them with common courtesy and empathy, then you're going to do incredibly well marketing, regardless of whether we're in a crisis or not.
Yeah.
Have I got that right?
Yes.
Brilliant. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put up here. I'm going to take my screen back now, Catherine.
Oh, sorry. Do I have to unshare?
Oh, no. Where's my poll gone? Can you see my poll or not?
No.
It was right there a minute ago. Okay. So, any questions? While I'm doing this, who's got a question to ask Catherine? Like, we've probably got, have you got 10 minutes, Catherine? Catherine?
Sorry, yes, I do.
Okay, so clearly we've used up all of our intelligence today. So anyone have a question that they really would like to ask Catherine? Now, if you don't ask a question, we're going to know that you didn't listen. So someone's got to take one for the team. Really? No one's going to take one for the team.
I think over here we had a question. You're muted. Can we unmute? There we go.
Right. I don't really have a question, but I want to add something here, right? Or make just want to show a different path, you know. It's like, you know, how we say marketing is all about the customers, right? It is, but it is also about us as well, right? Who we are and what we are and who we are marketing to. So it comes to like an alignment, you know, and that makes it connected. It's not that we want to unconnect to ourselves and it's all about you. It's a two-way thing. So as you know, like for example, a customer, if you dissect a customer is an internal customer and an external customer, you know. So there's two sides to thing as well that makes it a connection. That's how I think. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because I know, I mean, I know that like we have always dealt or read about it in books, in theory. Customer is always right? In theory, you know. So I dissect it and I think it in two ways, internal and external customers, that makes it an alignment. Yeah. That gives a flow and impact.
Yeah. Just in case there are people out there thinking the customer is always right, they're not. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're just
demanding.
Yeah, and they're wrong, and that doesn't mean what am I trying to say?
I mean, it means the two-way link is not there and not meant for each other.
It's
You
a
know, I mean,
misalignment.
obviously there are other businesses out there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you understand your brand and your values, then you know who you want to work with. And then if your website is actually targeted or, you know, designed authentically as per who you are, then you're going to attract those people that want to work with you. And you'll actually, all those clients that actually don't fit with who you are and what your values are, they won't actually contact you. So if it's not actually a positive relationship, it is probably the fact that you're not actually aligned in what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is launch this poll. And if you can just give me how many aha moments you've had. Hopefully you can all see that now. And I will show you the results.
I can't see anything, Hayley.
Can't you?
No.
Huh. Okay.
Can everyone else see something?
Yep, everyone's voting.
Oh,
Cool.
that's interesting, isn't it?
So we've got 61% have voted. So I'm going to end it there because I think that's a good snapshot. So I think that's a fairly good hit rate. We've done well, Catherine.
I'm pleased nobody put 0.
No, that would be embarrassing. So effectively, I think if there's no other questions, by all means, you can't get much wrong with marketing if you're doing it for the right reasons. And it very much is about your brand, identifying what your brand is, who you are, what type of thing that you're trying to achieve, who you actually want to work with. That is all part of your brand. Would you agree, Catherine?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So then once you've actually got a knowledge of all that, then you're going to feel a lot more confident getting out there and actually marketing yourself. And Catherine mentioned before that putting her face on the website was really difficult. I really, you know, I like to sit behind my clients, and my clients are my success. So I went out and we've done that, and we actually get quite a lot of positive feedback since I changed it and put my own ugly mug on the front page. So I can highly recommend, you know, put yourself out there. You're all experts in your field. You all know what you're doing. Definitely keep in touch with Catherine. Those that have actually indicated that they would like a 20-minute consult, I will be passing on all those details, and Catherine will be in touch with you in the next 10 days, 2 weeks, Catherine.
Yep.
And those who have actually indicated that you would like to be part of our education and be kept in the loop as to what we've got coming up, then you will receive regular emails about our education. So if there's no other questions, by all means, more than happy to answer them right now, because this is all about you guys and making sure that you're confident enough to actually work forward and conquer. But otherwise, I will stop it now. And first of all, I need to say thank you very much for Catherine for actually agreeing to do this for me. It has been a real pleasure seeing the amount of sign-ups. I will be sending out the recording, and get in touch if anyone has got questions about anything.
Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you
You're
very much,
welcome.
Catherine. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Catherine and Hayley.
Right.
Thank you.
It's great.
So
Thank
catch
you.
you
Now
later.
who's going to be the last to leave the meeting?
So, have a lovely day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.